Howdy lovelies, how are you all doing? Well, welcome back to our crafting, where we learn, grow and craft together. Today we're going to continue with the circled art journal, which is in essence just an art journal in the shape of a circle. And we have started with that some time ago. And in the last session, which was the Zen Doodle session, the black and white one, I had asked if we should continue with this or not. I received a wonderful private message from somebody that responded and said, yes, please. She feels inspired that it is not the normal shape of a journal for an art journal. She was quite pleased that it was different, and she likes that I just do whatever I feel like, which is true. I do. I did try to add a bit of color in there due to the fact that I used the very bright glittery paper for the cover, which we still need to finish, and we also need to do something on the inside of the covers as well. So we still have quite a few pages left. In fact, we have quite a bit because we still have the opposite sides left, and there's just a quick flip through it. So today I was thinking to do something a tiny little bit different in the journal. I want to just use one of the sheets colored, obviously, as we added colored cardstock for the art journal's pages. And I basically used all the white ones now, or well, one side of all the white ones. But my heart is missing the Netherlands. Now, you will ask why and how. Ever since school, I had this desire to one day go and visit, which a couple of years back I had the opportunity to go. And at my time, a couple of years back now, I met a few of the Dutch people that came to South Africa on a special project for the company where I've been working then, and some friendships had been formed. So it was a great opportunity for me to go and visit them in their home country. So for today, me longing to go back, I am going to use a stencil from Craftreat, and it is a layered stencil. And you guessed it, yes, it's a Tulip stencil. It is stencil CTS428, and it looks like this. I decided to use this page, and I'm going to add a bit of gesso on the page, just so that there's something for the ink or the paint. I haven't decided what I want to use yet, will actually stick to, because this is quite dark, and if I want to change the color, I need to adjust this a tiny little bit. So I was thinking to get the gesso going and give it a minute or so to just dry. So we'll probably have to stop the video just to not make it too long, and we'll take it from there. So let's jump right into this. So I've got some gesso here, white gesso, and I'm thinking about covering this whole surface first with the gesso so that I can add some paints later, and then the stenciling on top of that. It's blue, as you can see, and I need a more workable surface, so I'll be using this. I do have a very fine brush here. I can just clean this lid a little bit, just so that there's less paint on there. It doesn't matter which way you want. You can use a bigger brush, which probably would be better. Let me just change to a bigger brush. Obviously, a bigger brush will just render quicker results. Not as time consuming as a smaller brush. And this is just so that we have coverage. I probably will have to add a bit more, and just to have a proper white background to work with. And this brush had seen better days. It's falling apart already. I must actually just clamp it with a pair of pliers so that it doesn't fall apart when I'm using it, which has happened quite a few times already. Remember, you won't get the gesso to be too smooth. And if there's anybody out there that has got a tip for me how to actually get that a little bit more smooth, probably a softer brush would help, then I will be so happy for you to share that with me so I can also learn. I have mentioned it before, I am not a painter, what I call a painter, people that are really able to paint. I normally just play with paints. And I rather enjoy using paints in my mixed media projects, especially when I do mixed media canvas art, which is mostly, I'll just use this little brush to hold it there so I don't have a finger imprint on here. So let's do yes, you could have just glued paper over this it could have worked as well. Just a little bit more. And we'll do another layer just now when this is a bit drier. And I told you before, things dry quite quickly here by me, so it won't take too long. I just want to wash this tiny little brush while this is drying in the meantime. It's always better to rather add another layer than too thick to start with. And there goes the paint brush again. It's really, really falling apart, but still one of my favorites. I'm going to just add a second layer so that we have better coverage. You can see the blue is really showing through the gesso, and it is quite a dark blue to add, so it's quite understandably showing up through the gesso. For those of you that are not familiar with gesso, gesso is like a primer. It just gives something for the paints to hold onto, so it's that beautiful grip that it needs. And of course, if you want to unify stuff, like with found objects, you're doing collage or mixed media craft, you can always paint it with that and then add your color on top. It just makes everything white or black. You also get it in clear, and of course, if you so wish, you can actually add paint to a bit and have that as your base color. There we go. Now I just want to get the excess paint from this brush. That can stay there. I just want to get that back into the container. Maybe like that. And then just close it up. This is sort of dry. It got stuck on the back. You can see I had to tear it off the page. There's a bit of the black ink that was on that cellophane packaging material that was transferred on here. Not a train smash. We can actually just sort it out next time that we want to use the back side of this page. So the next step would be to add the background color. I will be using Distress Oxide inks for that. Not entirely sure exactly what am I using still, but we will see. I've got some broken china. I just grabbed some blues and greens. I've got peeled paint, salty ocean, and faded jeans. I also got some squeezed lemonade here. Maybe some, I don't know. We will see in a bit. What else do we use? So this is basically completely dry. I just want to get this more or less centered. I'm going to add some blue. Yes, it might sound counterproductive, but this was too dark for the background. Yes, it could have easily been changed, but let's see where this is taking us. I'm going to use some broken china, I think, to start with. I'm using Distress Oxide because this is pigment based. So I'm going to just add it to my ink blending tool, and I'm going to just add that. And you see with the gesso, it just goes on so quickly. And I will be adding a bit more darker blue here and there. And this just came off. How sad is that? Let's see if I can use this. Just holding it at the bottom. Right. And then I would also want to just add a bit of darker blue. And also a bit of Picket Fence, I think. Now, Picket Fence, you will see, is in Distress ink, but it is actually pigment based. So, and then a bit, that was salty. No, it wasn't. It was broken china. I'll do salty ocean, which is much brighter. So I must just be a tiny bit careful using that same broken one. Dropped it some time ago. Just here and there. Not a complete color. Just to intensify the color here and there. Just be careful. You will see I've got some circular imprints on mine, but it doesn't bother me too much. And now a tiny bit of the faded jeans, also just here and there. Just running it over, mostly everywhere. just to get that tiny bit of purple in there. It picks up purple for me. I might be wrong, but to me it looks as if it's purple. Right, the next color that I want to use are the greens at the bottom, just to get that garden feel, or overall garden feel. I will start with a bit of peel paint. This can be washed off the cutting mat, so it's not an issue. Remember, all the Distress inks and products are water reactive. So we have that. I just want to see if this is more or less... Oh, we need a bit there. I'll just darken that, just so that we have the horizon sorted, more or less. So, oh, my fingers are picking up the paint there. So I just... Wait, there's that thing again that I dropped. I must just... There we go. And give this a moment or so to dry. And if any one of you are wondering if these are the actual Ranger diffusers, ink blending tools, no, it's not. The Ranger one has got a sheen to it. This is just plain wood. This has been varnished, quite sturdy. I've dropped quite a few of these, and the parts did not come undone like this. So just so that you know, it's not Ranger's products. Right, now, a bit of this. I might use it still, so I'm not putting it away. Don't want to make an imprint, finger imprint there, which I did anyway. Going to give this a moment to dry, and then I want to add some Distress Crayons to this. We will see how that is going to work out. I want to attempt to first do the foreground, as I want to add a bit of color to the back, but I need to know the position of the tulips. So I'm going to just move these inks out, and maybe I should do the white cloud first. Yes, gesso would have worked as well. And very amateurish, but these are my interpretations of clouds. Maybe a bit there, just some lighter colors. There we have that. Right, that will also dry in a minute or so. Can just wipe this with the baby wipe. Baby wipe is going dry already, but it still cleans the table fairly well, even though it's not so wet anymore. That gave that a moment to dry. So I'm going to start with the dark color green so I can get the stems going. Now for this I need a post-it note, because I do not want ink all over, and that will cover that for me. And look what I just did that side. Apparently I need more than just the one part. Where is that baby wipe of mine? It's a pity that I've added that now. Let's just put that there so I have a better chance of not messing this up further. So worried about this side, but I did not even think of this side. So let's just add one more here at the bottom. I'll just tear it in half so I can add that there and make sure I do not mess this up any further. That's better, and I think it will now be easier to get the stem sorted. I think that should be good. There we go. And maybe it's too high. Didn't think of that now. But let's add another one and do it much lower. And I almost put some more green this side. Let's just do that. That's a safer bet. Just to mask this a bit. And get the Distress Oxide ink where I actually want it. And I might be out of view here at the bottom for you, but I will push this up in a second or so. Then we can take this off. And all these little pieces this side. Move it up because this one is definitely too high. I just want to, oh, it's that one again. Just add a bit more blue to camouflage that one. All right, now here we need to add some leaves. So I need a post-it note this side. I'll just keep my finger here, move that up so you can see, and I need one this side too. A small ink blender probably would have been a better choice, to be quite honest, because I'm too rough with these things. There we have that. Now, I want to just add another, but I first want to just clean this uppity before I smear ink all over the show. And if you know me, I don't normally clean my stencils. Now for this one, let's do that there. But I want to just add that there and on this side. And move this up. Masking it is probably the safest for me. Again, if you have any other tips that you can pass along, please do so. That way, I can also learn how to do that. And seeing that this is a crafting community, I'm sure somebody would have a wonderful solution for me. I've got that one. I just want to add another leaf this side. Let's see the placement of that. And just cleaning the stencil, I want to turn this over real quick because I want this direction for this little leaf. So let's do that. Fix that one. And there. That should do it. That was actually the coloring for there, but it doesn't matter. I'll just add this there. Almost threw this away. Just trying to figure this out. Now let's see. A bit of cracked pistachio or peeled paint. I think I will be going with a peeled paint just to intensify that color. You can see there's a slight differentiated coloring there. And this one, just to get the angle right. I do not want ink there, but I would like some on the tip. Oh no, it was peeled paint. And maybe a bit there. Just, there we go. So there's a bit of coloring going on. Going to clean this again, just wipe it very easily. Both sides, because I've used now the other side as well. I am going to go for I think a purple tulip, so I would have that, maybe pink. So it lines up perfectly well, which is a good thing. It also covers that side for me. So before I grab the green, I just want to add a mask in there and a mask in there so that I don't get ink all over the show. So this is quite nicely lined up. I think that is too dark a color. Just give me a moment to grab a new ink blending sponge. So yeah, let me just close this green for the moment. Otherwise, I might just add green to it instead of seedless preserves. Get that out of the way. So this is seedless preserves. There we go. It goes on really well with the blue background, it changes the color of the purple a little bitty, but it's not a big issue for me, as I will be layering it anyway, which is at the bottom here, and a little bit here. And it just shows up so beautifully. Again, I'm just going to clean this. I don't want accidents to happen, because I can smear that ink easily. Then the masking for them is just as simple, to add that extra bit of detail. Again, I'm just adding a piece of post-it note in there to minimize mishaps. Need a little bit more there, and maybe one this side, just for in case. There we have that. Line it up nicely yet again. There's just, there we go, that's better. Now for this, I'm going to use a darker purple, and that's Villainous Ocean. Much darker. And yes, it's not springtime in the Northern Hemisphere, but in a couple of months, it will be time for the tulips to bloom. And there we have that. Isn't that just gorgeous? Again, just cleaning the stencil, because I will be using a different color. Same sort of palette, but not the dark. The next one, I will have to fit in carefully, because it will overlap, sort of. So just be careful. That can be changed like so. Just wanting to see the best, there we go, position for all of this. Don't mouse too much, just there, and then this side as well. This time around, I'm going to use, I think, bit raspberry for the background, and then seedless preserves for the detail. I will be just cleaning this yet again, just wipe it ever so quickly. And then the same thing needs to happen, and that is to line this up so that it makes perfect sense. And I just hit the camera with my head. Sorry for that. So we will line this up. I think this one needs to just come in a little bit. There we go. And this needs to just go there, or this one. Let's just move this one in ever so slightly, preventing mishaps, and on that side, just for in case. Right, seedless preserves. Masking's off, And I just need to clean this quickly. I normally don't clean my stencils, but then again, I mostly work in browns for the vintage theme journals. This will come off. I just want to, oops, there's something on there. I can take that off. And I have a smear there. Probably touched it. So let's see, even though there's that little bit of pink there and I touched it there, there's a few marks in between. I'm not going to try and fix that with the ink blending tools. However, we can add a bit of green here. I'll just rummage through here, find some greens. I always get confused with some of these colors. Forest moss. I think this is, which color? I can't even see. Peeled paint. There we go. Don't I have a darker one? Shabby shatters can maybe be used. Let's see. I've got White Picket Fence. I just want to see if I can just camouflage the mess I've made there. I will probably just amplify the mess I made. Just maybe a bit more color there for the clouds. And yes, you can blend this even with your finger. I must just now make sure I don't have any ink on my fingers. That will transfer onto the clouds. Yes, be careful. And here I'm speaking to myself out loud, not to mess up that tulip. Right, now the ink does transfer a little bit still. But I'm going to just color the stems and stuff. The leaves a bit, just a bitty. Get some down, stems down here. Bit of green there. And yes, I'm talking out loud. I always do that. I always do that. Let's get a bit of mowed lawn in here. That will brighten things up completely. You can use whatever you want. I just want to put a bit of brighter green in here. I don't have all the Distress Oxide colors yet. I just get it as I basically need it for projects and so forth. There we go. Maybe this, that looks a bit too brown at the bottom. And I'm going to just put bits here. Let's see if I can use a tiny ink blending tool just to get a bit more green here and there. Yes, you can spray it with water, but I'm just scared it will go all over. There's probably better ways of trying to get a background going. And yes, my painting skills are totally lacking. But as long as you have fun, and that's what I tell myself, then all should be good. I'm basically just twisting this little ink blending tool just so that I can get that complete dot that I made blended in. I'll be adding some more just right here to the edge. Let's just finish this off. I like that look so that it's not so all the same. Just want to get a bit of other colors in there too. And I will be adding a few pinks and purples and oranges, reds maybe, just to pretend it is tulips. Now we all know what the tulip fields in Netherlands look like. They are really, really amazing, especially from an aerial view. But that's not what I want to have here. I just want it to look like a garden, sort of like a garden. I should add, this time around, I'm going to add more colors and see if I get the desired effect. So a bit of that yellow, a bit of the darker green, and then a bit of mowed lawn as well. And yes, you can use water, but I won't attempt it because all of this is distress inks of some sort, distress oxides, and then the crayons. If I add water, then everything will react, and I don't want all of it to be blending together. And yes, you can wash your ink blending tools if you so wish. I won't, because I keep the color on there, then I know what color it is that I used it for, and two, it's already saturated. So the blending of these ones, a little bit more challenging, and not as smooth as that. Lots of green spots there that I'm not entirely happy with. The darker spots, this side is more. I don't want it to be so clear. And I will be adding some little dots to resemble some flowers, blooms in the distance. Something like the Gardens of Kiekenhof, which you can see from about end March till about mid-May, if you're lucky, a little bit later. So I'm busy just trying to blend this in. There we have that. Now just a little bit to the edge. Yes, the ink blending tool is smushing all the colors together, and it's fine. If you want it more precise, you can do that. Those people that are good with watercolors and stuff, you can go ahead and paint according to your desires here. I'm just going to add a bit of yellow this side too. Just a few dots. It's not yellow, it is Shabby Shatters, but it's got a very yellow undertone compared to the rest of the greens. That's why I said the yellow, so don't think it is a yellow. It's not. It's Shattered. What is it? Shabby Shatter, sorry. I almost said Shabby. No, I almost said Shatter Shabby. So there we go. And then a bit of the darker green. If I had to do seasonal art, I should have done an autumn art journal page, which is also a beautiful theme to work with. But today I feel like tulips. It makes me think of that song, and I'd rather not sing it, your poor ears. When it's spring again, I'll bring again tulips from Amsterdam. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking of today. Even though it is the beginning of October, still early October. I think we might be getting somewhere. Oh, I did not put some green in there. Let's see. A little bit of blending in between those stems. Maybe a bit late, but these things are quite skew. And I forgot that I actually rectified this horizon, so I need to add a bit there, maybe a little bit more. Maybe some there. At least we can sort of fix it. I think I will be cleaning this now. I mean closing, not cleaning. Listen to me. That one, and Shabby Shatters. And I'm still having to add some of the darker green here. I'll just go back in and fix the horizon, because remember, this needs to be bound in the journal. And if you tilt it, then this will not make sense. So that's why I have to just want a bit more green here, I think. And then blend a little bit more. Now, just need to be careful. And I'm rather talking to myself than you, because I can easily just go over this and mess up the stalks and the flowers and all of that. Luckily, I'm not going that high up, so it's okay. Let's turn this a little bit. And then I just want to go in and just intensify the color of the stems somehow. And remember, none of my arts that I do is affiliated. I've said it before, I just love using these products. Let's face it, it's wonderful. And I'm not one of Tim's makers. I simply just love creating with the products that he so graciously developed for us. So there we go. And being a maker himself, he realizes what we sometimes need. I must say, there's one part, and I'm not dissing it, please don't get me wrong, that I do not enjoy, and that is the Halloween stuff. Not that I have anything against it, it's just I'm a sensitive viewer, and I cannot, for the life of me, do anything spooky. I cannot. I just cannot do that. I get a fright. If somebody just speaks suddenly right behind me, I jump about 3 meters into the air. and Halloween stuff. My friends always laugh at me when we might be watching some sort of a scary movie or parts of it that is a little bit more intense. It's kind of a treat, apparently, watching me. I just want to blend this a little bit more and just have that colors a little bit more even. And maybe I should have just redo this with a stencil. It probably would have been easier that way. I kind of like that already. So now I just want to see if I can add a little bit of just a citron in here, just here and there, just to liven this green up a bit. And then I'll do the same thing. Just blend that in a bit more, and then we will add the rest of the little dots to show or pretend that it's other flowers. So we'll start with a bit of orange. We need a bit of yellow. We'll do wilted violet and big raspberry, of course. And there's a wonderful orange red persimmon. And maybe candied apple. Now I saw that Tim has released some seasonal Distress Crayons as well. I'm sorry to say, but I cannot keep up with all the new releases, so I do whenever I can. And it is just the way the cookie crumbles. And there have been quite a few new releases in the last couple of weeks. Like really, quite a few. Okay, this is not as clear as I hoped for. Maybe it's blending in too much. Let's see with the darker colors. And it's very hot where I am. Look how the colors are remolding itself in the heat. Yeah, this is looking good. Now this will probably smear a bit more, so I must just be careful. When I bind this. Now I don't want to just have orange. We need some of the other colors too. But I like the brighter colors. And another orange, ripe persimmon, which is a bit darker, like a real red orange. I almost made a flower on the leaf. That would have been a... Did we not add a leaf on the side? I don't think so. If we did, it's now covered. There we have that. Let's see how many colors we can get in here. We need to do a bit of purple. This wilted violet almost looks like a maroon on here now. Seedless preserves, which is that lighter purple that we used there. And I just realized we never added any vanilla potion on there. But it's not an issue. It is what it is. I would like to add a bit of pink and red as well. Just don't know where would I find space to add the red, but in between somewhere we should be able to add something. I think that is okay. And a bit of candied apple, just to spruce things up a bit. Going to just try and outline some of this if this pen of mine wants to work, which apparently it doesn't completely want to work. Maybe it's picking up some of the pigment. I guess so. So I think that is where we will stop with today's session of having fun with tulips. My heart longing so much for Netherlands at this stage. and I think it really looks quite pretty. Thanks for joining me today on this quest to just soften the longing. Go try whatever you want to do in your art journal and just have fun. And if you do, please tag Wowo Crafting on social media. If you want to see more content like this, give me a thumbs up. And I just want to say thank you to Laura for that beautiful message she sent me. I really, really appreciate it. And she is the reason why we are carrying on with the Circle Art Journal for the foreseeable future. I'd appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel too. And if you haven't done so yet, please hit that notification bell so that you can be notified whenever I upload new content. See you back soon. Goodbye.